And that structure then immediately became an infringement on doing what I want to do when I want to do it.
There is a thin line between following a religion and following a cult. When a certain belief system takes over a person's judgment of right and wrong, truth and lie, then their religion becomes a cult. People's faith is their biggest power, but sometimes, when the innocents are manipulated by the wicked, their faith becomes evil's weapon. Today's case is about a similar situation, where people trusted their preachers so much that they gave their lives in longing for betterment and hoping to find the light. On March 26, 1997, a 911 call was made to the San Diego County Sheriff's Department at 3:15 p.m. The caller reported finding the bodies of 39 people in a mansion at 18241 Colina Norte, Rancho Santa Fe, California. All the dead people were dressed in identical black clothing and white Nike sneakers, symbolizing their unity and readiness for the journey ahead. Each member had $5 bills and rolls of quarters in their pockets, a nod to their belief in the material world's irrelevance. This was the only case of its kind reported at that time in the USA, which left the world to grapple with the tragedy, trying to understand the beliefs and motivations that led to such a devastating event. This was the sad incident of Heaven's Gate, a UFO religion that took so many precious lives. Let's dive into the history of this religion and what events led these people to take their own lives. Marshall Applewhite Jr. was born on May 17, 1931, in Spur, Texas. He was the second of 4 children, with 2 older sisters and a younger brother. Applewhite's family was deeply rooted in Christianity, and his father was a Presbyterian minister. He attended the University of Texas at Austin, where he earned a master's degree in music in 1957. He taught music at the University of Alabama and later at the University of Texas, where he became an assistant professor of music. But in 1960, he got fired, which began the downfall of his life. He also went through a divorce and struggled with his sexuality while dealing with the crisis of faith and questioning traditional Christian teachings. Applewhite's search for spiritual answers led him to explore alternative beliefs and practices, including astrology, mysticism, and Eastern spirituality. Marshall Applewhite's life took a significant turn in March 1972 when he was hospitalized in Houston, Texas, for an unspecified condition. During his stay, he met Bonnie Nettles. Bonnie was one of the nurses attending Applewhite. She was known for her empathetic nature and dedication to her patients. Her spiritual journey began in the 1960s when she became interested in theosophy, astrology, and mysticism. She explored various spiritual teachings, seeking answers to life's fundamental questions. It's said that when she met Applewhite, she recognized a kindred spirit and a partner in her quest for spiritual truth. Their chance encounter blossomed into a deep and meaningful connection as they discovered shared interests in spirituality, astrology, and the mysteries of the universe. Bonnie then introduced her idea of a new world, and so the seed of this new religion sowed. Together, Bonnie and Marshall began to shape their vision into a reality. They started small, gathering like-minded individuals in living rooms and coffee shops, sharing their message of spiritual transformation, and called it Human Individual Metamorphosis. This little organization is all about spiritual transformation and self-discovery, which attracted people who had lost the sense of purpose in their lives. In 1975, the group began to attract followers and held its first public meeting in Los Angeles. Around this time, the group would travel a lot in hopes of recruiting new members to their organization, and around the late 1980s, they finally got the name Heaven's Gate. Bonnie, by this time, has passed away, and now only Marshall led the group. The rules for the members got more strict. Heaven Gate members were called by certain nicknames and not their actual names. They were supposed to have the same haircuts. Men should always be shaved, and all of them wore the same black dresses. The goal was to eliminate gender and individual distinctions. No one was allowed to be connected to the outside world, and so the group was only in contact with its own members, but they were not allowed to have any emotional or sexual relationship with each other as well. Now it's said that there was no pressure on the members to stay apart, but they believed in Applewhite's teaching so much that they followed all of his rules just to have a happy future. Leader's charismatic charm and the group's sense of community kept followers entrenched in the belief system and dependent on the leaders for guidance and validation. Now that you see how disconnected these people were from reality and how they believed without any suspicions and any questions, you may understand how were they convinced to give up on living so easily. When Bonnie Nettles died in 1984, Applewhite convinced all of his followers that Bonnie was beamed up to the spaceship, which he explained was the ultimate destination. He used it to manipulate everyone into thinking that Bonnie didn't die, but graduated, and the death was just her leaving the body. Now, as 1997 approached, Applewhite told his followers that there was going to be an apocalypse, and the only thing that could save them was a spaceship. Heaven's Gate members were told that a spaceship was following the comet Hale-Bopp, and that this spaceship was sent to take them to a higher level of existence. They believed that this was a chance to transcend their human bodies and become one with the divine.
Please, don't look at my older members, don't look at my classmates, and don't look at me as having died. We have not died. We have simply moved out of these vehicles.
And so, in March 1997, this heart-wrenching incident occurred. Applewhite, with his 39 followers, took a lethal mixture of phenobarbital and vodka with pudding or applesauce, and then their heads were wrapped in plastic bags. The group died with each member laying peacefully on their bed, with a band on each of the members' arms saying, "Heaven Gate Away Team." Now, we do not know what Applewhite's motive behind this. The only logical explanation for this can be that Marshall Applewhite himself was not mentally fit, and so it led him to lead that many people to kill himself. This was the horrifying case of Heaven's Gate mass suicide. Let us know. What are your thoughts on this case?